Good morning and happy Tuesday to the Ungovernables, the Captain's Crew, the LFA family, McGroy Nation, coming to you live from the deep red state of Tennessee on rumble.com/LFA TV. Welcome to Ungoverned on this Tuesday, September 9th. We're over a full week into September already. Craziness. Football season's underway. Wild. Speaking of wild, by the way.
What?
Greta Thunberg, you know, the angry little troll. How dare you? She and her crew are claiming that their boat, you know, their little selfie yacht flotilla that was supposed to be delivering aid to Gaza, they are claiming that it was struck by a drone. Now, you know me. Especially after December of 2024. Anytime someone says the D word, drone, I assume what comes next is bullcrap. I even got into an argument with somebody on X this morning, and I said, remember in New Jersey, the school bus-sized drones? It was nonsense. The guy goes, you don't know what you're talking about. I saw them for months. What you saw were toy drones. I can guarantee you, in New Jersey, nobody saw the magic school bus flying over their house. Okay? I'm just going to say that right now.
I wish they had. That would have been.
As I'm saying, you know, everyone was making these claims about these huge things in the sky, and I'm like, do we do a read about it with silent? Your phone, right? Everyone's got one. Not one video. Not one video of Miss Frizzle flying overhead, right, with the magic school bus. And Arnold saying, oh, I knew I should have stayed home today. I love that show. I used to watch that show. When I was young, I learned a lot. A lot of my fascination with science and all that came from the magic school bus. I
love the magic school bus.
That episode of them going into space was my favorite episode. I think it was Arnold's sister tried to steal part of Jupiter's red spot. Listen, never steal gas from a gas giant, especially if it's Chris Christie or Jiggly Belly Pritzker. We're gonna laugh at Greta Thunberg a little bit as if we didn't laugh at her already because of that bizarre haircut, right? Future Madame Fuentes, right there, who looks like she's dropping a deuce in this picture. Yeah, they claim they were hit by a drone. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. Because I have a feeling if you were hit by a drone, your boat would probably wind up in pieces. There wouldn't just be like a little whoosh of fire on the bow of the boat. But we'll get to that in a second. Donald Trump's operation, they're calling it Operation Midway Blitz. Operation Midway Blitz. The Chicago clean up, everybody, everywhere. They're cleaning up Chicago. Operation Midway Blitz is what they're calling it. Underway. Supreme Court gave Trump a good ruling yesterday as well. Really funny kind of byproduct of something in Chicago as well. Apparently, we're supposed to feel bad about this, but there were some events in Chicago that were canceled because of ICE being called into the city. And in my opinion, there would be no reason to cancel an event over ICE showing up in the city unless the people attending that event are people that ICE would be looking for, right? Remember, I think we've had this conversation before where like cracking down on crime in Washington, D.C., when Karen Bass, the chia, right? When Karen Bass with the used Brillo pad haircut looks like a chia pet in the early stages of growth, she said, oh, the D.C. crime is going to impact black and brown youth. Well, you're basically making the admission, the confession, right, that black and brown youth in Washington, D.C. commits the bulk of the crime or commits a significant portion of crime because it wouldn't impact them otherwise, right? If somebody said to me, Tennessee's cracking down on drug dealers, I would say, all right, no issue, right? Because I'm not a drug dealer. If they said to me, Tennessee is cracking down on people who speed on the interstates, I'm going to say, oh, crap, that's me. Right? So, when you make these admissions, it kind of tells everybody that it's almost not, it's not even an admission, it's a confession is what it is. So we will get to that as well. We've got rulings from the Supreme Court. We've got updates from Charlotte, North Carolina. The media being the media again. Remember yesterday what we said. They don't care about the crime. They care that we care about the crime. They don't care about the actual crime. And I think this is it. This is the moment, September of 2025, where we can all declare, we can all make the decision. This issue of crime and cities being unsafe, not just for minorities, not just for whites, not just for blacks, not just for Christians, not just for Muslims, not just for Jews. If you are in one of these blue cities, okay, it is not a safe place. I'm not trying to scare you from living your life. I'm just saying the issue going into 2026, I think it should be crime. That's the major issue. It's a very easy issue to win on. And the Democrats have done what we thought they would do about a month ago and come out not just in favor of Donald Trump rolling back his involvement in these cities, but in favor of criminals themselves. Criminals themselves. So we will get to a bunch of those stories as well in the second half. Before we do that, I want to get to a word from our friends over at OFP Farms. It's OFPFarms.com. OFPFarms.com. Explore the wonderful quality of Faith Farm and Freedom products with a special limited time 15% discount on your entire purchase. Take a peek at the lineup from OFP Farms. They are America's go-to soap company, famous for natural ingredients, the skin-loving perks of tallow and goat milk, and a big heart for farm-to-family skincare. They've got the Outlaw soap. This is the Trump mugshot. We call it the Mona Lisa of mugshots. They stuck it right on the packaging of the soap. You leave it, you open it up. If you use it, it'll leave you smelling like a felon. This soap smells like the camera that they used to take Donald Trump's mugshot. That's why Donald Trump's mugshot is on the front. OFPFarms.com, the Outlaw soap. They also have the lip balms, the best lip balms in the world. I'm a lip licking crazy person. I always lick my lips. It leaves my lips very chapped. I used to use Crapstick, got rid of it because Brennan showed me it's owned by Pfizer. We don't like Pfizer. So we use Goat Kisses now. Goat Kisses lip balm. Look, whether you're looking for gentle skincare or thoughtful gifts, these products bring together expert care and good values to make your daily routine all that much better. Do not miss the chance to enjoy premium products that support your health and ethical choices for your entire family. OFP Farms is the small family farm with big, beautiful love. Go to OFPFarms.com. Use the promo code Sean, SHAWN, for 15% off of your entire purchase. OFPFarms.com. Promo code Sean, SHAWN, for 15% off. OFPFarms.com. Promo code SHAWN for 15% off at checkout. All right, Greta. How dare you? Here's what they said. This is funny, by the way.
Ha.
Your boat was just attacked by what you're saying in this video is a drone. Mm-hmm. And you guys you're all vlogging it like this is some, you had some run-in at the supermarket. Listen to the drama of this guy. We've been hit! Captain! We've been hit!
I do love drama.
You would think this was out of an action movie. I've heard less dramatic scenes on the show Deadliest Catch. And they're actually in pretty dramatic situations when you have these major winter storms, et cetera, that they have to sail through and, they're crab fishing and all that. But you have this guy, we got hit. Just, you watch this and tell me you're not suspicious. This was the video that came out last night. And I was like, I don't know. Something seems a little odd here. Let's watch this one.
We've been hit by what appears to be a drone and the vessel's on fire. There's a fire in the front deck. We've been hit. Run the fireboat. Run the fireboat. We have been hit. The vessel is on fire. We are off the coast of Tunis. It was a loud explosion. I was on the top deck. The police are arriving.
Total drama.
So much drama.
Well, look at this guy.
Patty, it was
vlogging
a
as his boat is a quote-unquote hit.
Are we abandoning ship?
There's a real situation. You don't have
You're not vlogging, right? Yeah, look at this. This continues for
It was
a
massive explosion. A massive, massive explosion.
Massive.
just meters away, we've been hit by what appears to be a drone.
It's gonna be okay?
Guys, we have been attacked in what appears to be a drone attack.
Attacked.
The vessel is on fire. I repeat, the vessel is on fire. We were on the family boat at about 11:30 p.m. A loud explosion came from the boat is on fire.
Mais au secours, il y avait une sorte de... Je sais pas c'est quoi, mais c'était une sorte d'explosion. Là, c'est live. J'espère que les personnes vont bien.
All right, that's enough of this. We had the water, all the noise. Listen, we've been hit. You know what they wanted you to believe, right? They wanted you to believe, oh, the Jews did it. That's what they wanted. Yeah, we know about it, Chewy. They wanted you to believe that it's the Jews, right? Here's the problem. According to Tunisian authorities who inspected the boat, which again miraculously survived a drone attack. Look, if there's one thing I know about Israel, they're a little, if there's anything I can say about Israel, they blow things up. They don't go halfway.
No, they're not like, "Oh, let's just flirt with blowing you up."
Let's just light you on fire and leave you. Like, remember the beepers with the automatic gender reassignment? Those things exploded.
What a good idea that was.
Everyone's talking about Gaza and it's a genocide and there's like no buildings left, which the gays are very happy because there's no rooftops to be thrown off of anymore in Gaza. But I'll tell you what, if there's anything I can say about Israel, they obliterate things. Sometimes too well, okay? Sometimes it's a little like, would you think that maybe was a little much? Like that, hospital, okay? This does not, all right. So let's take the Jews out of the equation for a second. Here come the Tunisian authorities now. This according to BBC.com, all right? Tunisian authorities quoted by Reuters said that reports of a drone was involved, quote, had no basis in truth, adding an initial inspection indicated the explosion originated inside the boat. Here's another view of what took place yesterday with Greta Thunberg's boat, and you tell me what this looks like. Look on the top portion of this, the guy's face. All right, so it looks like in that top portion, if you look at the guy's head, you can see him. Something goes up, and then it comes back down. Did you see that? To me, it looks like somebody misfired a flare.
Well.
Because you see him go, it's like when you shoot fireworks up on the 4th of July and you watch it go up. He was looking at something on the deck of the boat towards the bow. Yeah. It goes up, and then all of a sudden something comes back down. To me, that looks like somebody misfired a flare. Now, the only question that I have now is not whether or not these guys were involved, okay? It's really now, the only question that I have is, did this guy shoot off a flare or some sort of fireworks as like a celebration and it went wrong on accident? Or did he intentionally hit his own boat so that he can claim that it's the Jews and then do this whole false flag thing and, oh my gosh, nasty Israel, they're trying to kill us? All right? I don't know. But I can tell you, I really don't think that was a drone. I think if it was a drone, there'd be no boat. All right. That's just that. Just goes to show you, every time you hear the word drone, just act as if it's...
Kit Kat Mar. So what Sean is saying is there's no real men on that boat. That's true.
That's true.
They're all just like, wee.
I would tell you what, all I'm going to say is that if they're... Every time you hear the word drone, look at it, with Put your thinking caps on and think, how could this be bullcrap? All right, let's get to a word from our friends over at Patriot Mobile, and we'll dive into what's going on in Chicago, because this is a really funny story that's coming out of this Operation Midway Blitz thing. And look, I may not be what I signed up for, but it's hilarious. PatriotMobile.com/FARASH, PatriotMobile.com. I realize there are many choices when it comes to who you choose for your cell phone service, and there are new ones popping up all the time. But here's the truth. There's only one that boldly stands in the gap for every American that believes that freedom is worth fighting for, and that is Patriot Mobile. Not only are they leading the way in the red economy, but Patriot Mobile also outgains the competition when it comes to technology. Patriot Mobile is one of the only carriers with access to all three major U.S. networks. That means exceptional nationwide coverage, along with the ability to have multiple numbers on different networks on a single smartphone. This is what we would call a game changer, folks. They also offer unlimited data plans, mobile hotspots, international roaming, internet backup, and so much more. Switching is easier than ever. You can activate in minutes from the comfort of your own home. Keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade. It is time to make that switch today. PatriotMobile.com/FARASH or call 972-PATRIOT. Use the promo code FARASH, FARASH, for a free month of service. That is PatriotMobile.com/FARASH, FARASH, or call 972-PATRIOT. Use the promo code FARASH for a free month of service. PatriotMobile.com/FARASH, FARASH, 972-PATRIOT, promo code FARASH. All right, Donald Trump is cleaning up Chicago. Operation Midway Blitz. The left-wing hyperventilation, they're breathing into paper. He's sending ICE into Chicago. What are we going to do? Stupid people.
God forbid they get safer.
Yeah. Making your city safe, cleaning up crime, deporting illegal aliens, making sure that they're not draining taxpayer-funded resources. That's a bad thing. That is a bad thing, according to many on the radical left. President Trump and Secretary Noem stand with the victims of illegal alien crime, while Governor Jiggly Belly J.B. Pritzker stands with criminal illegal alien. J.B. Pritzker is another one whose blood type is butter, by the way. Everyone seemed to like that line yesterday.
That's funny.
The Department of Homeland Security has launched their immigration enforcement action in Chicago called Operation Midway Blitz. The effort is in honor of Catherine Abraham and Chloe Polson, a 20 and 21-year-olds from Deerfield, Illinois, who were killed in a drunk driving accident caused by an illegal alien. DHS is launching Operation Midway Blitz in honor of Katie Abraham, who was killed in a drunk driving hit-and-run car wreck caused by illegal alien Julio Kukul Bowl in Illinois. The ICE operation will target the criminal illegal aliens who flocked to Chicago because they knew Governor Jiggly Belly Pritzker and his sanctuary policies would protect them and allow them to roam free on American streets. President Trump and Secretary Noem stand with the victims of illegal alien crime, while Governor Jiggly Belly Pritzker stands with the criminals. The two reports local news that was Abraham and Polson were at a traffic signal with three other passengers when a red Mitsubishi Outlander crashed into them while traveling at about 80 miles an hour on January 19th, 2025. The driver is alleged to be Julio Kukul Bowl, 29 years old, of Guatemala. Bowl was in the country illegally and was using fake Mexican identification documents under the name Juan Jahaziel Saenz Suarez. So he added a name. He was charged with the hit and run, driving under the influence, and immigration-related crimes. Why people would want this type of stuff to continue in their cities is beyond me. But here's the crazy part. They made this stunning, and I say stunning, they made this stunning admission yesterday. Again, so let's go back to that whole thing with Karen Bass and in Washington, D.C. When Donald Trump announced that he was federalizing Washington, D.C., he had announced that, he's going to be putting the National Guard in place there. ICE is going to be patrolling. You're going to have roving patrols in Washington, D.C., right? And Karen Bass came out and said, well, this is going to impact black and brown youth. Why? Why is it going to impact black and brown youth? Are you saying, Chia? Are you saying that black and brown youth are responsible for a significant portion of the crime in Washington, D.C.? Because that's what it sounds like you're saying. Why does it sound like that's what it sounds like she's saying? Well, when you say you're cracking down on crime, the only people the crime crackdowns impacts is who? The criminals, right? When you announce a crime crackdown, the only people it negatively impacts are the criminals. Cracking down on crime means criminals are going to have a harder time committing crime, and if they're caught committing crime, they're going to be held accountable more so than before the crime crackdown with the cashless bail and et cetera, et cetera. Again, I always say this, like to make a very clear personal example. I speed a lot. If Tennessee came out and said we're cracking down on people who are speeding and more people are going to be enforcing the speed limit, on our highways and interstates, I would say, all right, I better slow down, right? Because I don't want to get pulled over. But if Tennessee comes out and says, hey, we are going to be cracking down on drug dealers and human traffickers, I go, oh, that's great. That doesn't impact me in a negative way. I'm not a drug dealer. I'm not a human trafficker, right? So when you make these admissions that, oh my gosh, cracking down on crime is going to impact black and brown youth, what you are saying is that black and brown youth happen to commit a significant portion of the crime in the jurisdiction that would be Washington, D.C., for that example. Chicagoans, Chicagoites, whatever you want to call them, are now making a very similar confession. They are saying that because of the surge of ICE into the city, which is legal, by the way. Why is it legal? Because coming into the country is a crime, a federal crime, which means anybody who has entered the country illegally and is currently in Chicago committed a federal crime, and they can be arrested by federal agents. But these Chicago activists and organizers and whatever you want to, community leaders, whatever you want to call them, have made once again another confession. They're saying that because ICE has entered Chicago, they now have to cancel their Mexican Independence Day events. Now, again, it is not, I would prefer it if people from another country didn't celebrate their native country's Independence Day in my country, because I want you to be proud to be an American. However, if it's peaceful, you have the right to do it. You have the right to celebrate Mexican Independence Day if you want to in the United States, as long as it's peaceful, right?
Is that Cinco de Mayo?
Oh, I don't know if that's Cinco de Mayo.
We do St. Patrick's Day. We do Cinco de Mayo. Those are all fun.
Yeah, I mean, listen, and it's fine if you want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily love it. I mean, do you celebrate American Independence Day too? Maybe you do. But as long as it's peaceful, you have the right to do it. First Amendment, if you're here legally, you're protected by the Constitution. First Amendment rights apply to you. You can organize these events peacefully. No problem. Why would ICE cause these events to be canceled? And ICE didn't directly cause it, but now the presence of ICE is causing these events to be canceled. Why? What are you admitting here? Are you admitting that the attendees of said events in Chicago, Mexican Independence Day, are you admitting that a majority or a bulk or a significant portion of those attendees aren't supposed to be in the United States and therefore would be opening themselves up to being detained and deported by ICE? Because that sure seems like what you're admitting here. And that is a really funny byproduct of what happened in Chicago now after just a day of ICE being present in the city. You now have people saying, well, we can't have these events anymore because what if they get deported? They're only getting deported if they're here illegally, which means they shouldn't be here in the first place. Adios, bad hombres, right? Afuera, get out. But it seems to me that that's what's being admitted here. We have to cancel these events because we don't want the attendees arrested and deported by ICE. Why would the attendees be arrested and deported by ICE? Only if the attendees aren't legally present in our country. That's it. And they tell on themselves all the time, whether it's Karen Bass saying black and brown people in Washington, D.C., when she commented on the federalization, right? Black and brown youths are going to be impacted by a crime crackdown. She's admitting that black and brown youths in Washington, D.C. are committing a significant portion of crime there, or else it wouldn't impact them. If they were just going to the convenience store, buying a pack of gum and going home, the crackdown on crime does not negatively impact them. However, if, as we know, a lot of them 15 years old and younger are carjacking people, yes, cracking down on crime will negatively impact them because they're not supposed to be doing that. if Chicago organizers and activists and community leaders, etc., are saying that ICE being present in the city is their reason for canceling Mexican Independence Day events, what they're admitting is that a lot of the attendees of those events are people who shouldn't be attending the event in this country because they're here illegally. ICE isn't just walking around picking up randos. They know who they're looking for. And so there you have it. They're telling on themselves again. I find that to be quite interesting. I find that to be quite silly. I don't know about you, but I find that to be quite silly. All right, 2 more things on the ICE front. ICE, baby. We love ICE. ICE is tremendous. The Supreme Court gave Donald Trump a pretty big win, a couple of big wins yesterday. The Supreme Court has allowed Donald Trump's immigration enforcement in Los Angeles, the city of angels, right? Here it is. Post-millennial Supreme Court on Monday ruled in favor of the Trump administration's efforts to carry out immigration-related stops in the Los Angeles area. The court ruled 6-3 in favor of blocking the lower court's ruling that placed restrictions on such stops. Sonia Sotomayor, one of the Obama Supreme Court justices, was like, oh, now ICE is just going to be picking up Latinos. Okay. I mean, if the Latinos in the country aren't supposed to be in the country and are in the country illegally, then by all means, pick them up, stick them in the Trump uphold, and fling them out.
Ay. Adios.
Yeah. Adios. Lopez. Yeah. Brett Kavanaugh, Trump appointee, wrote that he recognized, quote, and fully appreciate that many, not all, but many, illegal immigrants come into the United States to escape poverty and the lack of freedom and opportunities in their home country. However, the fact remains that under the laws passed by Congress and the president, they are acting illegally by remaining in the United States, quote, and by illegally immigrating into and remaining in the country, they are not only violating the immigration laws, but also jumping in front of those non-citizens who follow the rules and wait in line to immigrate into the United States through the legal immigration purposes. That's it. For those reasons, the interests of illegal immigrants in evading questioning and thus evading detection of their illegal presence are not particularly substantial as a legal matter. Moreover, as for stops of those individuals who are legally in the country, the questioning in those circumstances is typically brief, and those individuals may promptly go free after making clear to the immigration officers that they are U.S. citizens or otherwise legally in the United States. It's very simple. Just like when you get pulled over by a police officer, right? You know, a good way to what was Brennan flashback? What was rule number 1 of the Dan Bongino show?
Don't get dead.
Don't get dead, right? You know what's a good way to not get dead in an encounter with police? Just comply, be respectful, don't resist arrest, do what they ask of you, and if there's a misunderstanding, make sure the police officer understands that you're no longer a threat to their lives or the lives of anybody around you, and then you can hash out the threat. We got swatted, and the number one thing that we had to do, which we did very well, was keep calm during that entire encounter because we had guns in our face. If I came out the house, didn't do nothing, man, I would have got shot. Okay? I would have got shot. Period. They thought, they got a call, 911, that I murdered 2 people in the house. If I came out snapping and spitting and didn't do nothing and all this in front of the cops and screaming and yelling and running, I would have got pumped full of freedom seats. The easiest way to make sure that doesn't happen, I'm not coming out protesting. Here, I'm demonstrating I'm not a threat to you. Okay? They come out of the house. Yeah, your house is clear. All right, cool. Before you guys leave, let's talk about what to do about this because this is wrong. And that's how it goes, right? That's how it goes. Unfortunately, you see a lot of people like that woman in Florida that they played on 1210 last week who ran at a cop with a knife. She survived, but they shot her. Yeah, you run at somebody with a nice, 1.5-foot long fillet knife, you're going to get pumped full of freedom seeds.
It wasn't me.
It wasn't Brennan.
It wasn't me.
It wasn't Brennan. All right. Another big Supreme Court ruling. Supreme Court handed Trump another win yesterday. This over on Red State, Susie Moore. a little bit under the radar with all the other news of yesterday, but the Supreme Court gave Trump and his administration another win yesterday, temporarily. The case styled Slaughter versus Trump regarding the removal of independent agency leaders. Chief Justice John Roberts issued an administrative temporary stay of a district court order granting summary judgment in favor of plaintiff Rebecca Slaughter, who challenged her March 2025 removal as commissioner from the FTC. The Supreme Court appealed to the D.C. Circuit of Appeals, sought a stay of Judge Ali Khan's order. D.C. Circuit initially entered an administrative stay on September 2nd. It denied the administration's motion for stay pending appeal. The Supreme Court did grant that motion. And so Donald Trump has been vindicated. He is allowed to remove agency heads. Of note, the order specifies that a response to the administration's application must be filed by Monday the 15th. It appears that the plaintiff already filed a response on September 5th. In any case, we could expect a follow-up order regarding the administration's application for stay pending appeal in the not-too-distant future. So this is regarding Trump's ability to remove agency leaders, and this has a very big impact on potentially the Lisa Cook Federal Reserve situation over there. So wanted to go through those two things before we headed into the second part of the show, second half of the show. Before we do that, I want to get to a word from our friends over at MyPatriotSupply.com. We got updates on Charlotte, the Charlotte murder. Stephen Miller put it very nicely yesterday on Fox News, as he always does, so I want to get to some of that as well. And then some more crime-related issues in the second half. Before we do that, MyPatriotSupply.com. September is National Preparedness Month, okay? Preparedness Awareness Month. So it is the perfect time to ask yourself a couple of questions. Questions like, how much food do you have on hand for emergencies? How would you get clean water if the tap went dry tomorrow? What would you do if a storm knocked out power for a week? It's quiet in the Gulf right now. Is it going to remain quiet? That remains to be seen. If you're anything like me, there's some room for improvement on all of these things. Luckily, our friends at My Patriot Supply are making disaster preparedness easier and more affordable than it's ever been by giving you over $1,500 worth of emergency food and preparedness gear for free. They just launched the Preparedness Month Mega Kit, and it includes a full year of emergency food, a water filtration system that can purify almost any water source, a solar backup generator, and a whole lot more. And here's the best part. If you go to mypatriotsupply.com/ungoverned, you can get 90 preparedness essentials totaling over $1,500 absolutely free. Just go to mypatriotsupply.com/ungoverned for all of the details. That is mypatriotsupply.com/ungoverned. Check it out. Over 90 items totaling over $1,500 are going to be yours completely free, but only for this month at mypatriotsupply.com/ungoverned. mypatriotsupply.com/ungoverned. Check out the full details at mypatriotsupply.com/ungoverned. Crime is an issue. We understand that crime is an issue, and we will continue on this conversation regarding violent crime in blue cities and blue states. But before we do that, we have a message from one of our sponsors, Gold Crest Metals, by our good friend Jeremy Harrell. Take a look.
Hey everybody, Jeremy Harrell here. Look, I want to talk to you a little bit about gold and silver. When I was a kid, I always wondered what Fort Knox must look like. And when I was a kid, I always envisioned that when you would walk into Fort Knox, you would see just gold everywhere, literally raining gold, kind of like what you see behind me right now. Unfortunately, as a grown-up, I don't have that kind of imagination anymore, and I don't even have that much trust that Fort Knox has the 5,000 tons of gold that we're supposed to have there. Meaning that decades ago, we went off the gold standard in this country, which took the value of our dollar down to just mere pennies. And since our federal government doesn't want to go back to a gold standard currency, then it's time to us to take matters into our own hands. Have you ever thought about buying gold and silver? Have you ever thought about taking portions of your IRA or your 401k or your nest egg or your savings and putting it into gold and silver, either all or a portion of it? Have you ever wanted to purchase silver like this in bullion or premium? I know I do. And I know I wanted to take matters back into my own hands, which is why I have worked with Golden Crest Metals to do that. goldencrestmetals.com/LFA is going to be your go-to, absolutely transparent and trusted partner. Now, you can go to that website or you can call 888-308-4202. And what the good thing about this is they're going to guide you. They're going to talk to you. They're going to guide you. They're going to give you all the answers to your questions. And there's going to be no hidden fees. It's completely transparent. No hidden fees. No pressure, no surprise markups whatsoever. Clients get to see everything before they purchase. They've even agreed to lower the minimum investment to the LFA audience in order to make sure that everybody has access to this. Free IRA storage, free insured shipping, and a full range of precious metals from gold, silver, palladium, and platinum. And if it's easier for you to just maybe click a QR code, well, guess what? We've got that available for you too. Right here, ladies and gentlemen. Click this QR code on your screen and it'll take you right there. goldencrestmetals.com/LFA. Again, goldencrestmetals.com/LFA, or call 888-308-4202 today to reach these guys. They're going to be a great partner for you, just as they have been for me, and we absolutely recommend here at LFA TV, goldencrestmetals.com/LFA.
goldencrestmetals.com/LFA. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Golden Crest Metals, for being a part of the show. All right, here's we're going to go into crime now because this is crazy stuff. All right, the governor of North Carolina, the Democrat governor of North Carolina, is now calling for more police after the brutal stabbing on the train in Charlotte of Irina Zarutska, the Ukrainian refugee, obviously killed by a homeless thug. In a post on X, Governor Stein expressed that he is heartbroken for 23-year-old Irina Zarutska's family after recently released video footage allegedly showed the suspect, DeCarlos Brown Jr., stabbing her near the throat on August 22nd, 2025. Quote, "I'm heartbroken for the family of Irina Zarutska, who lost their loved one to this senseless act of violence, and I am appalled by the footage of her murder," Stein said. "We need more cops on the beat to keep people safe. That is why my budget calls for more funding to hire more well-trained police officers." Here's the problem, okay? This is not a lack of police issue. He was in and out of jail, 14 times? Was it?
For like 14 years, I think it was.
I think he was in and out. Congressman Tim Moore from North Carolina reposted that on X and said, "Are you serious? Our law enforcement officers arrested this guy over and over again. This is a matter of having soft-on-crime leftist judges and magistrates turning these career criminals loose." Tom Cotton of Arkansas also said if Governor Stein really cared, he would call to revoke Roy Cooper's, quote, task force for racial equity that kept Zarutska's killers on the streets even after 14 arrests. The problem's not the number of cops, it's the pro-crime policies. And that's the way we need to start framing this, okay, tactically. This is not soft on crime anymore. This is pro-crime. When you have a person who is committing violent crime like this DeCarlos Brown Jr., this thug that stabbed Irina Zarutska in the neck multiple times and, on the train. When you have somebody with a violent criminal history, a pattern of committing violence, the likelihood of committing more violence, and you continue to let those people out on the streets, you're not dealing with soft on crime. You're now encouraging the crime to continue. But this is an interesting thing. Think back to yesterday and think back to what I've been saying for the last couple of weeks regarding what the district attorney of Washington, D.C. said. Many other, pro-crime Democrats have said. What is the talking point that the Democrats are using regarding arrests and crime? Does anybody remember what we highlighted yesterday and what we've been highlighting for the last couple weeks? What has been the new talking point from Democrat leaders, pro-crime Democrat leaders, regarding arrests, regarding law enforcement, and regarding crime? What was it? Because you have one Democrat here in North Carolina saying we need more cops, but you have a lot of other Democrats saying something else. Does anybody remember what that something else was? Does anybody remember what that something else was in the live chat? Let's see. Let's see. Nobody's got. Yes, there it is. Indiana 73 has got it. Can't arrest our way out of crime. Bingo. Indiana 73 over on Rumble. Winky's got it now. And I'm sure many others are going, yeah, that rings a bell, right? Ding, 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 ding. That rings a bell. Take the guns is something else they say, but that's, you know what? That's part of it. Yeah, we can't arrest our way out of it. Let's just take the guns. Okay. The problem is that's how you prevent future crime, right? Is by arresting people. That's how you prevent future crime, by arresting people. But not just arresting them, by incarcerating them, right? By putting them in jail. Would you be shocked to hear the esteemed, hopefully she loses her job, Jasmine Crockett, Nurse Ratched herself, saying that what is the point of laws?
Oh.
What's the point of laws?
I thought you were going to ask what's the point of those
What do laws do?
Keeps people in line.
Keeps people in line, and therefore, in terms of violence,
keeps it down.
Keeps violence down, keeps people safe.
Should, yeah.
Right?
Right.
Okay. Laws are meant to keep order, right?
That's what I meant.
And the consequences of breaking the law, right, are supposed to be harsh enough and deter enough people from breaking the order, right?
Yeah, that's what I said.
That is the purpose of having laws. What is the purpose of enforcing the law? What is the purpose of enforcing the law?
To put criminals in jail.
Correct. What does putting criminals in jail do?
Makes the streets safer.
Right. Why?
We in these streets.
Why are the streets safer when the criminals are in jail?
Because they're not in the streets.
Because they're in jail. It's very easy, right? Because they're in jail. The guy who's mugging people, robbing convenience stores, and assaulting people on the subway, if he's in jail, guess what he can't do? He can't rob people. He can't mug people on the streets, assault people. He can't rob convenience stores. He can't assault people on the subway. Why can't he do that? Because he's in prison. Jasmine Crockett said, no. That's not what law enforcement do, y'all. Watch this.
I want to be clear that, law enforcement isn't to prevent crime. Law enforcement solves crime, okay? That is what they're supposed to do. They are supposed to solve crimes, not necessarily prevent them from happening, per se.
Okay. So according to Jasmine Crockett, law enforcement doesn't prevent crime. Law enforcement solves crime. Well, there is a wing and a portion of law enforcement that does solve crime, right? Investigators, detectives, etc. But when you enforce the law that criminalizes a thing and you take the person who committed that act, right? You take the criminal off the street, you are preventing more crime. And by the way, harsh, thorough, sufficient enforcement of said laws is a crime deterrent. This woman wants to say, no. Law enforcement, it's not about preventing crime. That is exactly what law enforcement is all about. That is exactly the function of police and federal law enforcement officials. That is exactly what law enforcement is supposed to do. Law enforcement is supposed to crack down on crimes being committed and show the public this is what happens to you if you commit these crimes. We enforce the laws here, and that is a deterrent from people from committing crimes in the future, including that criminal who just got booked by law enforcement because, as Brennan just told you, which is completely right and totally accurate, right? As Brennan just told you, the streets are safer when the criminals are in jail because the criminals aren't on the streets because they're in jail. The streets of Charlotte, North Carolina, the trains of Charlotte, North Carolina, would have been safer had this guy who had been arrested with a rap sheet 10 miles long, 14 times, violent crimes, mental health problems, that train would have been a much safer place had that guy remained in prison. But the problem is Charlotte, North Carolina, and North Carolina as a state, because of Democrat influence, has a lot of pro-crime, soft on crime, but maybe mainly pro-crime policy, especially in Charlotte, a blue jurisdiction, a blue city in North Carolina, that let this guy out of jail. So the enforcement isn't enough. It's not strong enough. Jasmine Crockett wants you to believe that law enforcement doesn't prevent crime. It absolutely prevents crime. Yes, there are segments and portions and departments and wings of law enforcement that solves crime, right? Figures out who committed the crime. But when they figure out who committed the crime, what do, Nurse Ratched? They arrest the person with probable cause that that person, the suspect, committed the crime. Why do they arrest him? So that he doesn't commit more crime. So they can hold him accountable for committing the crime that they think he committed. What a stupid thing to say.
I want to be clear that, like, law enforcement isn't to prevent crime. Law enforcement solves crime, okay? That is what they are supposed to do. They are supposed to solve crimes, not necessarily prevent them from happening, per se.
When you solve a crime and you arrest the suspect who committed that crime, you are, just by doing that, preventing another crime from happening. Because criminals, they don't just commit a crime and then stop, right? Whether it's someone who likes to shoplift, they're going to do it all the time until they get caught. Or it's one of these people like DeCarlos Brown Jr. in Charlotte, North Carolina, who's been arrested 14 times. When you arrest and you jail and you incarcerate and you hold these criminals in custody, you are preventing future crime from happening just by doing that. Because you're taking a serial offender, you are taking a person who is a career criminal off of the streets. He is now incapable of committing future crime. Jasmine Crockett, I think, knows this. But she's trying to, again, say we can't, this is, again, a way of these Democrats to say we can't arrest our way out of the problem. That is precisely the way out of the problem. Precisely the way out of the problem. All right. Here's another example. Here's Stephen Miller. Let's get to Stephen Miller because this is really well done really well. Here's Stephen Miller talking about the Charlotte murder case as well, which has now finally gotten the national attention that it deserves because of how gruesome it is. And the media now has to, circle the wagons around themselves to say, well, it's not about the crime. It's about the reaction of the right and blah, blah, blah. But here's Stephen Miller on Fox News yesterday doing a great job as always.
The Democrat Party, Sean, is terrorizing the American people. Just think about what is happening in our major cities, the bloodbaths every single weekend. One victim after another, one shooting after another, one murder after another. When you have Democrat politicians
the audio is
like
all screwy,
Pritzker
so we're just going to
Newscomb
listen
that
to
are
it.
freeing illegal alien pedophiles, illegal alien child abductors, illegal alien murderers back into our streets to kidnap people, to beat them senseless, to stab them and shoot them to death. This is terrorism being waged against the American people. And then you look at that video that chills our very souls out of Charlotte, that beautiful young woman stabbed to death, murdered savagely on a subway, just trying to get home from work, fleeing war, only to run into a Democrat war zone here in our country. That monster, 14 prior arrests in and out. The Democrat policies of catch and release for barbarians and savages is truly an act of terror, Sean, against the American people. It cannot be explained unless you deeply, fundamentally...
It's very true. It is an act of terror against the American people. I don't know why we just continue. Whenever I pull clips from X, a lot of times that audio does that, and it looks fine when I download it. Then I play it, and then all of a sudden it's not fine. So I don't know what that is, but when that happens, we'll just minimize the video and listen to it because what he's saying is completely valid. I just don't want the whole fact that the audio is out of the sync with the lips to be a distraction. So this is again, here's the headline from the New York Times this morning. So remember Axios yesterday, right-wing influencers are making this a big deal. Politico today said that Irina Zurutska has been dragged into a political firestorm. Here is New York Times. A gruesome murder in North Carolina ignites a firestorm on the right. They don't care about the crime. They care that we care about the crime. That's the sick part here. The mainstream media doesn't care that Irina Zarutska is dead. They couldn't care less. Remember, it doesn't check off their boxes on the checklist. Suspect, black. Okay, that's a 75% chance we don't take the story, right? Victim, white. Okay, that's an 85% chance we don't take this story. Blue City. And that is now a 95% chance we don't take this story. And the weapon was not a gun. Nope, we don't want it. We don't want it. Find another one. Find another story. Any cops killing anybody lately? Anybody using guns? That's their system. That's their system. That's their flow chart. Right? That's their flow chart. They don't care about the crime. And they're only reporting on it because we made a big deal about it. They don't care about the crime. They, as evidenced by the New York Times, they care that we care about the crime. They're like, look at all these people. Why do they care so much? By the way, there was a crime committed. You don't hate these people enough. You just don't. You just don't. It is impossible to sufficiently hate the mainstream media enough. It's just impossible. All right. Quick word from our friends at Silent. Then we got a story on crime out of Louisiana and Seattle. Okay? So a lot to get to still. Folks, it's Silent. Your phone, this bad boy, as much as I love it, it is a tracking device. It tracks everything I do, everything I say, search history. It's listening all the time. Government agencies, big tech, corporate data brokers, even cyber criminals, they're all fighting for a piece of your digital footprint, and they don't ask for it. They just go on and take it. That is why Silent exists. Silent makes Faraday gear that blocks all wireless signals, including cellular, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, GPS, RFID, and near-field communications. No signal means no tracking, no surveillance, no breadcrumbs. Take that, Hansel and Gretel. This is the same technology that is used by special operations teams worldwide, used to block signals, avoid surveillance, and secure communications wherever the mission leads. And right now it is available to you to protect your family, your freedom, and your digital footprint. Drop your phone in a silent Faraday sleeve, and it is off the grid, completely silent, invisible to the outside world. From backpacks to sleeves to crossbody, Silent's patented technology gives you control of your privacy. Just visit slnt.com/Sean, SHAWN, to save 15% and get free shipping on those qualifying orders. That is Silent, slnt.com/Sean. Protect your rights, secure your data, and stay one step ahead and silence the chaos. slnt.com/SHAWN for 15% off at checkout and free shipping on qualifying orders. Go silent today. Let's get to Louisiana. All right? Louisiana. There's this guy. I remember talking about his story a couple months ago. This guy, last name of Jelks, serial rapist and nasty guy, just a real nasty guy. Here's some reporting on this story yesterday.
He's only 25, but is well known to Baton Rouge police, causing problems over the years spelled out in a plethora of paperwork filed with the 19th Judicial District Court.
It's extremely frustrating.
Baton Rouge Police Chief TJ Morse sat down with us Friday, expressing frustration after the same man is now accused of raping a small child.
We've arrested him 6 times. Over the last 6-7 years. He's everything from firearm charges to domestic abuse battery, violation of protective orders. He's currently on probation, supervised probation, by probation and parole.
This guy by the name of Jelks, apparently, this came from, there was some reporting on this on X yesterday, raped a child. And I have to be careful before I tell you the age of the child. But I'm going to get there in 2 seconds. I just got to find the post. I forgot to bookmark it. Here we go. This man, Mr. Jelks, apparently raped a child. Anthony Jelks raped a 4-year-old and gave her an STD. He was freed from jail a few weeks ago despite 6 violent arrests in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Raped a 4-year-old, gave her an STD. Anything wrong with that picture at all, guys? Those on the left, you're cool with that? Finally, new suspect is on the loose in Seattle. Seattle, Democrat-run city? Yes. Democrat-run city. A suspect is on the loose after stabbing a man on a bus in Seattle. Sunday evening, 63-year-old man was rushed to the hospital after being stabbed on a bus. Per KIRO 7, the stabbing occurred just after 6 p.m. near 3rd Avenue and Pike Street. By the time law enforcement arrived, the suspect had fled the scene. The King County Sheriff's Office said the victim is expected to survive. Good. This came after a Ukrainian woman who fled her home country due to the ongoing war was stabbed to death aboard a light rail train in Charlotte, North Carolina. In Seattle in December, a homeless man was arrested for the fatal stabbing of a King County Metro bus driver. 53-year-old Richard Sitzlak was taken into custody after officers were flagged down. You've got another bus stabbing now here in Seattle, another pro-crime, Democrat-run city. We don't have to live like this. We don't have to live like this. Democrats are forcing us to live like this. And, in a way, we, as folks on the right who think this is terrible, are choosing to live like this because we're not getting involved enough in off-year elections and local elections. This can all come to an end if we wanted to. This can all come to an end if we wanted to. All right, Jeremy Harrell is coming up next here on rumble.com/LFA TV with Live from America. Head over to the website, lfatv.us, so when Jeremy comes on, you could let him know that you picked up some super cool LFA TV merch from the LFA TV store. Click on that store tab like I just did, hit visit the store, and scroll down to see all of the amazing items that are here on the LFA TV website, lfatv.us, lfatv.us, or jeremyharrell.com/store. I promise you there is something for everybody at the LFA TV store. So check it out, lfatv.us. Tell Jeremy when he comes on in about 45 seconds or so that you just ordered some super cool merch from the LFA TV store. Now, wherever you're watching, we're streaming all over the place. Hit that thumbs up button. Make sure that you're mashing it for this channel. And if you're watching on Rumble, rumble.com/LFA TV, that is home base. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button for us there as well. And if you're watching elsewhere, head over to Rumble, rumble.com/LFA TV, and make sure that you are following this channel. And if you jump in the Rumble chat, well, that's the chat that we like to show on the screen. That's the Cool Kids table. That is home base. All right, folks, thank you so much for watching and listening. As President Trump says, we will never give up. We will never give in. We will never, ever surrender. And if all else fails, we will just become ungovernable. Thank you. God bless you. God bless this one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Rutherford County YRs will see you later tonight for their meeting. That's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you for watching and listening. God bless you. God bless this one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. We'll see you tomorrow morning, same time, same place. Jeremy Harrell up next. Until then, bang gavel. Good night, everybody, and thank you for your attention to this matter.